proved controversial for a number of reasons. Firstly, the step nose was introduced, making all the cars, well, ugly, and Bruno Senna unfairly lost his drive at the end of the season. I'm still not over it. However, it wasn't just Senna that fell by the wayside at the end of 2012. Quite a few joined him on the subs bench. The Belgian racer Jerome dAmbrosio has led a fairly understated career as a racing driver. A mixed bag of results in his junior career, but with strong backing, he landed a seat replacing Di Grassi at the new but still yet to prove competitive Marussia Virgin Racing team in Formula 1. 2011 was once again no better for the Marussia Virgin Racing team, with no points on the board, and despite dAmbrosio finishing ahead of teammate Timo Glock in the standings, he was replaced and became reserve driver for the Lotus team for the following year. A surprise call-up to replace the banned Romain Grosjean at the Italian Grand Prix saw dAmbrosio start his last ever F1 Grand Prix in 2012. He finished outside the points, but on the lead lap at least. Outside of F1, dAmbrosio enjoyed a brief stint in GTs before joining the new Formula E Championship, racing with Dragon and Mahindra, scoring 3 wins across his career before retiring at the end of 2020 to take on a managerial role with the Venturi Formula E team as a deputy team principal. Things were always going to be tough for the nephew of 3-time F1 world champion Ayrton Senna, but it didn't help joining what could be well described as one of the worst teams in Formula 1. Despite all the promise that teammate Karun Chandhok said the Hispania racing team had for 2010, it never appeared, and Bruno Senna and co endured a miserable season, culminating in a departure from the team. A move up the grid to the Lotus Renault F1 team, but as reserve, Senna stuck around long enough to be given a chance and stepped up to the race seat halfway through 2011 and finished off the season with Lotus, replacing Heidfeld. A significant move to Williams saw the Senna name return to the Grove-based team for the first time since the legendary Ayrton tragically lost his life. A competitive Williams helped Senna to become the team's most regular points scorer. However, outshined at crucial moments by his teammate Pastor Maldonado, including the Venezuelan's memorable win at Barcelona, combined with Senna giving up the majority of his free practice 1 sessions to reserve Valtteri Bottas, meant that come the end of the year, Senna and Williams parted ways, bringing an end to his spell at the top flight. Life after F1 involved the World Endurance Championship and with Aston Martin in the GTE Pro class before stepping up to the LMP2 category with Rebellion Racing in 2017, where he continues to this day, having won a race in every class he's competed in and crowned overall champion of the series in 2017. Senna was also one of the many to join Formula E, competing with Mahindra for 2 seasons, finishing on the podium in his penultimate race. The controversial Russian or Vyborg rocket Vitaly Petrov debuted with the Renault team in 2010, alongside the highly talented Robert Kubica as the first ever Russian to compete in Formula 1. A strong final campaign in GP2 to take the runner-up's prize saw him deserving of an F1 seat, but a string of retirements, scattered with a few point-scoring positions, meant his place at the team was under threat. A stonking defensive drive at the final race in Abu Dhabi to deprive Fernando Alonso of taking the championship was enough, however, to secure another year with the new Lotus Renault team. If Lotus Renault were worried about their Petrov gamble, the Russian made sure they would not regret it, achieving his first ever podium with 3rd at the opening round in Australia. Although more regularly in the points, the Lotus team struggled to develop their car, and the end of the season saw Petrov part ways with the team, who sought a fresh new lineup. A last-minute deal with the Caterham F1 team allowed Petrov to hang on to his career. However, the modern-day green racing machine was still part of the backmarker squad, and Petrov only achieved a best result of 11th at the final race in Brazil before leaving Formula 1 for good. A one-off season in the DTM followed by a switch to the World Endurance Championship, where Petrov has enjoyed mixed success. He also works as a commentator for Russian F1 TV and made his debut as an FIA driver steward in 2020. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Pedro de la Rosa enjoyed a long Formula 1 career, racing for the likes of Arrows, Jaguar, McLaren, Sauber and HRT. He is perhaps best known for his extensive testing contract with McLaren, occasionally stepping in for the race drivers. He competed half a season in 2006, which ended up being his best, finishing 11th overall in the championship. Unfortunately for De La Rosa, despite a strong end to 06, with a podium to his name, a certain young Brit by the name of Lewis Hamilton was ticking all the right boxes and spelled the end of Pedro de la Rosa's racing career. The most experienced F1 tester in history, the Spaniard did manage to secure a return to racing in 2010 with the Sauber team, but was dropped with 5 races to go. A return to testing at McLaren beckoned, along with a one-off drive with Sauber in 2011, replacing the injured Sergio Perez. De La Rosa managed to get himself one last chance as an F1 race driver, agreeing a deal with the struggling HRT team for 2012. The slowest team on the grid, he did see out the season, but as soon as the season ended, the team folded, leaving De La Rosa without a drive once again. That was it for De La Rosa as far as Formula 1 was concerned, and he returned to testing, but this time for Ferrari. These days, he can be found working in Formula E behind the scenes as the technical and sporting advisor for the championship-winning Techeetah team. Narain Karthikeyan will go down in history for 2 things: the incredible feat of being the first ever Indian Formula 1 driver, and secondly, for being called a cucumber by Sebastian Vettel. His first Formula 1 foray came with Jordan and a highest finish of 5th place. This was, however, at the notorious US Grand Prix, where only 6 cars started. Dropped at the end of the year, he enjoyed a successful time as the Williams test and reserve driver before sponsor issues saw him sidelined and he eventually left the F1 circus. A shock return in 2011 saw him race 2 on and off seasons with the HRT team, spending the majority of the time at the back of the grid. However, with the end of 2012 spelling the end of HRT in itself, Karthikeyan did not secure himself another drive and hasn't been seen in Formula 1 since. Karthikeyan did continue to race after Formula 1, mainly in the Japanese Super Formula Championship, where he achieved 2 podiums during his 5-season stint, with his last competitive racing outlet coming in the form of Super GT. Away from racing, Karthikeyan is also involved in an Indian vehicle website offering recommendations, expert advice and reviews. Timo Glock had a jump start to his Formula 1 career, being called up to race in 2004 for Jordan, replacing Giorgio Pantano. Despite points on debut, he moved away from Formula 1 at the end of the year in favour of the American Champ Car Series, before further honing his racecraft in GP2. After clinching the GP2 Championship in 2007, he moved up to Formula 1 once again, this time with Toyota, achieving 3 podiums during his 2 seasons with the team. His most memorable moment perhaps coming at a rainy Brazil after being passed on the last lap by Lewis Hamilton, ensuring the Brit won his first world title. However, after Toyota pulled out of Formula 1 at the end of 2009, Glock sought refuge at the new Virgin Racing team. The de facto team leader, Glock helped instrumentally in developing the team, but failed to show any real glimmers of hope that they could reach the midfield battle, and come the end of 2012, parted ways, thus spelling the end of his F1 career. Since his departure, Glock joined the German touring car series, the DTM, becoming a BMW factory driver in the process, and has enjoyed a successful career since 2013, finishing as high as 5th in the championship standings. Little needs to be said about 7-time Formula 1 world champion Michael Schumacher. Stints with Jordan and Benetton before his dominance with Ferrari, he left the sport at the end of 2006. However, he returned in 2010 with the new Mercedes GP team, laying the foundations for what was to become one of the most dominant constructors in F1 history. His second career with Mercedes only provided one more podium finish, and he officially retired at the end of 2012. Sadly, Schumacher was involved in a skiing accident in December 2013, which saw him sustain severe head injuries, requiring surgery and forcing him into an induced coma. He regained consciousness 6 months later, but last reports state he was not able to speak or stand. Understandably, the Schumacher family have wanted to keep his current status and appearance private. Keep fighting, Michael. Stay tuned for part 4, where we take a look at those drivers who departed F1 following the 2013 season. In the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe, and do leave a comment in the section below. Thanks for watching.